Hey there, it's Logan Christopher with the Legendary Strength Podcast, and in today's episode, we're going to talk about how to feel like $1 billion. If you haven't heard already, I just released a new course by that same name, How to Feel Like $1 Billion. I want to tell you a bit about what's in it, what it's all about, to see if it's right for you. Of course, if it is, then I encourage you to buy it, and you can go check out the full details and order at feellikeabillion.com, feellikeabillion.com, and you'll be able to see everything that's there. But what I want to do in this podcast is talk about some of the different things, because this is sort of a modular course. There's a bunch of different areas, and the whole idea behind this is to have one sort of short routine that you can do that will make you better at everything. I mean, the name, How to Feel Like $1 Billion, is really the benefit we're trying to get at. You want to feel that good every single day. And truthfully, there's no reason that you shouldn't be able to feel that good every single day. It's actually a little bit of a funny story, the whole feel like $1 billion. The reason it was that, not feel like a million, which was the original working title, was I couldn't find the domain name that was available like that, so I went with billion instead of a million, and I had to up the ante in what's in the course and all that. So let's go into a little detail on the different areas about this course, what it's all about, and really listening to this podcast, if you decide it's not right for you, I mean, there's like 6 hours of video footage, so I couldn't even begin to go into all the detail on what's in the course here, but you'll be able to gain some ideas and you can start putting these into practice immediately. The first and main idea about it is that this is designed to be a daily routine. The main benefit of doing something daily is it really becomes a habit. When it's a habit, then it's no problem to do. And also with many of the things that are done in this routine, for instance, of flexibility, I find with flexibility it's vastly more important to be consistent with what you do rather than, just going really hard at it like once a week. This is because the body needs to be trained to get into that flexible position. It really needs to be in a habit, everyday occurrence, even several times a day, in order for the body to become used to it. If you just go very far, like doing some sort of isometric stretching, and you do that once every week, I don't think that will bring you as consistent results as if you did just a little bit each day. The same can be said for strength training, especially if you're going for more skill based thing. Anything that is a lot more skill based, I highly encourage you to train every single day if possible. So that is the reasoning behind having a daily routine. By doing something every single day, it's going to get much better. Some people might say, well, do you have to do it every single day? No, if you miss a day, it's not going to be a big problem, but you really do want to get to the point where this sort of stuff is habitual. Everything that is in it is something that should and can be done every single day. I mean, just think about, do you go to the bathroom every single day? I hope so. There may be some people that have some issues with that, in which case, actually, this routine has some stuff in there that could help with that. But it's just something you have to do every single day. It's like brushing your teeth. It's like going to the bathroom. You gotta regularly update and keep doing the processes in order to get the benefits from them. And moving and doing the different energy drills and everything we have in here is meant to be a daily thing. The second part about the routine is I bill it as a morning routine. The reason I say that is because if you do this or any routine in the morning, it's the first thing you do in the day, or very close to the first thing you do each day. By doing that, you're setting up your day. This is a physical routine for someone that doesn't exercise at all. Just doing this routine, and depending on how you adapt it to suit yourself, that can be your workout for the day. For me, it's really not. There's parts of that, but then I tend to also do some other workout, or sometimes it is right afterwards. I'll talk about how you can really adapt this to make it your own as well. But if you start off the day with doing the things that help you to feel much more alive, to feel like you have more energy that can help you to get out of any sort of pain and injuries you may have. If you do all that, then you're setting up the whole rest of your day to be riding on sort of that wave or that crest that you've just created, and it can make everything else easier to do. If you didn't do something in the morning, then most people, their morning routine involves like grabbing a cup of coffee in order to give them the energy to get through the day. Now, I personally have never been a coffee drinker. It just I tried it when I was younger and just it didn't do anything for me. Even these days, I really don't feel the effects of caffeine, and that may be because I don't need some stimulating energy from these things. Sure, I take some herbs like ant, which can give additional energy, but really, and that can be a little part of the routine, but coffee for me isn't necessary, and I certainly don't need it. Now, I don't think coffee is a bad thing for people, but if you rely on coffee in order to get you through your day, you have to understand that's not a natural thing. That is not where you should be at. So by doing this daily routine, doing it each day in the morning, that can rev up your energy levels and help you to get through the day feeling much better. The promise is to feel like $1 billion. I mean, that's really sort of an arbitrary promise because, what does feeling like $1 billion really feel like? But just think about it. If you can just feel just a little bit better every single day, and over time the effects will grow and grow over time, getting even better, then what would that do for you? What is that worth to you? So now that we've covered the basic idea of why to do a daily routine and why to do it in the morning if possible, let's go into the specifics of this routine. And let me also say, for some people, based on your career or travel schedules, doing it in the morning may not work for you, but it can certainly be done any time of the day, and it will work great to do that. Actually, just over the past few days, switching up my workout schedule a bit, I haven't been able to get to it right in the morning, but I've done it later in the day and actually used it as sort of the warm-up for my workouts. And I find by doing this sort of warm-up, it's not really about loosening the muscles or getting them warm for me, but it's about getting those energy systems right. It's about getting movement in my body so that I'm better in tune with my body to help for the workout ahead. So there's a whole lot of really cool things in here. The morning thing isn't necessary. It's highly encouraged, but it's not necessary. The daily routine, if you did this only 3 times a week, that would still be much better than not doing it at all. But once again, highly encouraged to do it daily. So the first component of this routine is actually a little different than all the rest. If you are familiar with my idea of the peak performance trinity, that is, there are 3 main areas you need to do for basically super health and performance. One is the physical training. There's a whole lot of this in the routine. The second part is your health and nutrition. Now, a whole lot of the physical training, the specific drills that are done in here are not so much for strength or for performance, but actually for helping you to become healthier. Now, this first part is also about consuming certain herbs or what I call the green longevity drink that helps with your health even more. So we have that component. And the third component is the mental, and I also say energetic component. Now, of course, all of these things tie into each other, but this routine is really built on this peak performance trinity model, and that's why I think this is vastly superior to than any other sort of thing you're going to find out there, because what I've aimed to do is, not just deliver you one single thing, because one single thing can be good. For some people, it may be exactly what they need to achieve whatever goal or feel as good as they need to. But for other people, it won't be. But if you take these different systems, these different forms of movement, all these different things, and you bring them all together and really bring the best of the best that is possible all together, then I think that's going to accelerate the results you get even further. I think these things can have a compounding effect. So if you just did mobility training, for instance, you can get some very great benefits from that. But if you did mobility as well as energy drills and you did those together, what more can that do for you? How can that improve your body even more and what you're able to do? I think this compounding effect is what really brings it all together, and why I call it How to Feel Like $1 Billion. So the first part is about taking some sort of liquid, some drink in the morning. There's two parts to this. One is right when you wake up. Remember, this is designed as a morning routine. Your body is dehydrated, so you need to consume quite a bit of water. That's a great first thing to do in the morning, just so that your body is not dehydrated. Did you know that if your body's even slightly dehydrated, then your brain function is going to go down, your muscular function is going to go down? So highly encourage, if you do nothing else, drink a pint of water when you wake up in the morning. Some people even recommend a quart. Now that's quite a bit of water, especially if you're not used to drinking mass quantities of water, so you'd have to work up to that. But that's just one aspect of this. The other part is, this is a point in the day when you haven't eaten for a while, so your body can be looking for nutrition, and without any other things clogging the digestion, it may be able to better assimilate that nutrition. So I put together a number of different drinks that can combine things like green powders, as well as a few other things that I all put together, or taking some of the different herb combinations that can really be a huge thing for really amping up your energy right now in the morning, extending your health, longevity right here in the morning, and depending on what the different herbs or supplements you're taking, different effects in the body, of course. So this is one thing I like to do before really the sort of physical part of the routine happens, and this can be just chugged beforehand or sipped along as you go with the routine. The second part is about doing energy drills. Now this is a missing component for a lot of people. Many people, I'd say, would do some form of qigong or meditation, but few people really go in depth in the energy systems of the body, like I've been doing from studying other people that do the same thing. What I've been studying over the past, I think it's about 4 years or so now, specifically comes from Eden Energy Medicine, Lady Donna Eden and her organization. And what's really cool is, in this energy system, it's not a whole bunch of woo-woo stuff. Sure, that's in there. I mean, really, when you get into energy, that's gonna happen, and it really depends on your perception and frame of everything. But it's really sort of a sequential and a very solid thing that you can see the results from doing one single energy drill, rather than something that you really may not have any idea of, such as just feel the energy, open your arms to the universe and pray that the universal energy will come in. I never liked that stuff. It was just too open-ended, to where there's nothing concrete about it. The energy drills that I practice myself and that I teach other people are a lot more concrete than that. They're working with specific meridians, for instance, in the human body. They're working with the different energy systems in there that can work and improve and fix things instantly in some cases. I've seen some very cool stuff about energy. Maybe we'll talk about that more in the future. But anyway, I have over like an hour of video. I think it's an hour and 20 minutes about covering these different drills, putting them all together. When you just do a few drills, there are certain drills that just about everyone needs, and they help to optimize all the energies of the body and can be done in quite a quick time frame, like spending 5 minutes. Now this is something that no one does because no one really knows this stuff, but when you add it in, I think this is a huge part of the success that I have, not just in training, but really my whole life, is by having these energy drills. I can optimize something on this level that a lot of people aren't even aware of, and thus they're not able to consciously manipulate it, to change it, to make it better. So this is huge stuff. This is going to be brand new to you if you haven't been to any of my seminars where I've definitely taught some of this energy stuff before. I also have sold sort of not to the public but to my customers energy drills DVD. A lot of similarities there, but this is more information than I've covered anywhere else on this topic, so I highly recommend you check it out. In addition, there's some energy psychology stuff in there. If you don't know anything about that, just take that as sort of a surprise when you go into it. It's some very cool stuff that can help not only coordinate your energies but your intention with what you're trying to accomplish. So it's very cool stuff in there. After you go through the energy drills, you have to understand the sort of progression that I sought to achieve with this. So the drink, I sort of think of that as a different component, but starting the actual routine, where for me I go out in my garage and I do it in there. Start with the energy, then from there you're sort of chunking up to a level of the body. With the energy drills, you're working directly with the energies. That's what you're trying to do, and you do this through different forms of movement. Mobility work, which is the next part, takes it to another level where you're becoming more physical, and really this routine actually becomes or goes from the more energetic level gradually up more and more physical as you go along, and that's how it's designed. It really is a ramp up thing, and I think the same thing occurs with your energies and your performance by doing this specific format. So with the mobility stuff, now mobility training has been in vogue for a number of years. A whole lot of people have done it, have taught it, and I've learned from tons and tons of them. The idea behind mobility training is that, you know, each joint should be able to go through a full range of motion. That's sort of a basic level of it. There's really a whole lot more in there, so I want to talk about some of the different levels of mobility training that I talk about and show you in this course. First, you have just basic mobility. The idea here is, like I just said, to get joints through full ranges of motion. And this is simple stuff like doing a circle or side to side with your neck, circles with your arms, with your hips, thoracic spine, all sorts of things. This basic level of mobility just teaches you how to move and really doesn't go beyond that. So it's a place you really need to start, but there is much more to mobility than that. Another level above that is the neurological mobility, as taught in systems like Z Health. This is where you're doing those similar sort of mobility drills, but doing them in a specific manner in order to really work with the nervous system. Now, this can have very great effects. I don't think it's the end-all, be-all of training, but it is. It definitely can improve performance immediately, and it certainly can get many people out of pain immediately. So it's not to be thrown away just because it doesn't work 100% of the time. Nothing seems to ever work 100% of the time, so people like to throw out the baby with the bathwater. So this is another level of how you can use it, and there's some specific ways you do this for specific reasons. Now, that was sort of the whole mobility world until just recently at the latest Superhuman training workshop. Bud came up with something that we called myofascial mobility. This is tapping into the body, specifically the fascia, by doing mobility. It's a very interesting thing, and you sort of have to see it to experience it, but from doing this, it seems to unlock your body even better, free up your movement even more, and just energize your body. It's crazy. Bud's idea was that the fascia, which is sort of a connective tissue interplaying all your muscles going throughout the entire body, that it can get little kinks and jammed up in different spots. By doing the myofascial mobility, you can unkink those areas or unwind them so that the fascia is smooth and running, and the connective tissue in your body, they're all basically semiconductors. That is what electricity of the energies run through in the body. So you're going to feel your energy levels go up by doing this. In practicing with that, I realized that there's a different area, what I'm calling intuitive mobility. Now with this isn't focusing on the fascia, but instead focusing on the joint. And instead of doing a rote routine where you're just going through and, you know, doing 3 circles with each joint, with intuitive mobility, also with the myofascial mobility, you're tapping into the intuition of the body and getting it to move how it needs to move for that given time and place. And the effects from doing this are quite tremendous. It really does need to be experienced in order for you to get there. A side benefit of this is I think it's going to help you get much more in tune with your body, which, if you don't know, that's a huge part of my training in guiding everything that I do. I really would call myself an intuitive trainer. I don't write out plans, but I go by feel. And in order to do this properly, if you're a beginner and you just start going by feel, then you really have no idea of what you should be feeling. You need to really get into the feel. You need to understand your body on a quite a deep level in order to be able to properly do this. I think these levels of intuitive mobility and myofascial mobility will not only unlock greater energy levels, better movement, but will help you become more intuitive, which is a huge thing. There's also what I call positional mobility, which is some cool stuff. I found that in playing with all this, how you position your body dramatically changes up everything about the mobility. Now, most mobility work is always done standing, but you're not always in a standing position, and just by changing, for instance, into a seated position, it actually changes the effects of the mobility. So there's some cool stuff in there, a whole lot to play with here that really is going to take your mobility to another level. The fourth part after that is about flexibility training. Now, flexibility is an interesting area. The truth is, for a lot of people, how strong do you really need to become? How flexible do you really need to become? Now, for most people, it's more than they currently are, and definitely if you just choose to go further, you're going to want to take it further. With the flexibility stuff, as I mentioned earlier in this podcast, doing it consistently every day is a better way, in my opinion. It can be done in an easier manner, but also the gains will stick around longer if you do it every single day, whatever you're doing. And part of this is based on the idea of maintenance. If you do just a little work, you can maintain wherever you're at, as opposed to if you do no work, you can lose your ability. But when you do a little bit, not only can you maintain, because there's no really static position in the body, you either are getting better or you are getting worse. So in working just a tiny bit in order to maintain, what you'll actually be doing is getting a little bit better. And this can be done without really straining the body in order to be getting there. If you're just doing these simple drills, and it's something like 10 different flexibility drills, what I call the biggest bang for your buck exercises you can do. I'll tell you one of them right now. The overhead squat. If you do exercises like this, just spend 20-30 seconds on them, it can be even less than that, then not only do you maintain all the flexibility that you have with no effort at all, but it can improve if you just push it just a tiny bit. So the overhead squat, how I like to do this, and I think I got this from Steve Cotter originally, you do an overhead squat holding onto something just like a stick. You don't need a barbell or anything for this, and you do it facing a wall. Now, the overhead squat, and actually getting into a rock bottom squat with the shoulder flexibility there, for many people that's going to be beyond where they're at, so they're going to even need to work up to that, and I cover those sort of details. But if you're there, then you can always just take it a little bit further. What you do is you can bring your legs in and also bring your hands in. So as you do this, your flexibility required for this position becomes much harder to do. I still have quite a bit of room for improvement myself. If you can actually get feet together and hands together in this position and be able to go rock bottom while standing right in front of a wall, that is quite a bit of flexibility you have there. That's just one of the drills in this course, and there's a whole lot more that it really does cover the body head to toe in a quick manner. It doesn't take a whole lot of time. If people are doing things like static stretching, working on splits and spending 20 minutes in it, sure, that can work. This isn't specifically about gaining the splits, though I talk about those ideas in here. This is about getting a great level of flexibility, improving it further and further until you really, get to a point where you don't need to improve it anymore. And just doing it in about 5 minutes worth of time. So that's what that area is about. Now the fifth section is what I call, becoming strong and skilled. This whole routine, how I've laid it out is, I don't want you to just have a follow along routine. This isn't something that you just watch me and follow along everything. If you go back to the whole mobility stuff where it's intuitive, you have to listen to your body on that in order to figure out what you're going to do. And this changes from day to day. So for me to give you a follow along routine where I tell you to follow along, you'll be doing stuff that my body needs to do. Now I have that follow along routine in here just to give you an example of what the whole routine looks like as a whole. But the idea is really to make this routine your own. You can add and take away things as you see fit, but to give you this whole framework here with all the benefits, all the different instruction that I've got, if you really think about all this information together, this is my collection from years and years, spending I don't even know how much money in order to learn the stuff that I'm presenting with you here, and also experiencing it myself in order to come up with the new things that I share with you. So this fifth module, becoming strong and skilled, this is really much more open than the others. I give you a few different ideas of what you can do. For instance, like one move that really works your stability quite well, which is an animal position where you're lifting one limb at a time. This is just a simple drill that you can do in less than 30 seconds that will work the reflexive stability in your body. A phenomenal drill, really hard to do the first time you try it, but it doesn't take a whole lot in order to work on it one single time a day and see improvement in doing it. If you want to use this as your warm-up for your workout now, just go into your workout, and that can be how you go through the rest of this routine. I give you a whole lot of ideas of different single and simple things that you can do. One of the things that I've been having a lot of fun playing around with is the movement of the day, where you just work on something new or something you haven't worked on in a while and just try to improve that. And this can be body weight exercise, this can be any sort of different thing, but you're just always working on one new thing. What's that going to do over time? Over 365 days. Let's say, even you missed 20 days out of that, 345 days in a year. If you work on one new movement every single day, that's going to add 345 different movements within that span of a year, and that's assuming you missed 20 days of this routine, which is all right. It doesn't have to be every single day. If you miss one, it's okay. But if you could add that many different movements, what would that do for your body? How would that improve what you're able to do, your control, how you understand your body, how you can get it to move? So there's a whole bunch of different really cool things you can do in this area, and this is one that is more open than the others. After this, there's the wrap-up area, which basically just ties in everything that you've done back to the first start. A little more of the mental training aspect can come in here with goal setting, with visualization, some different stuff described right there. So all in all, it's over 5 hours of video. It is some stuff, if you have been a follower of mine for a while, listening to this podcast and looking at my videos and articles, you're going to know some of this stuff. Some of it has been covered in other areas, but nowhere have I put all this stuff together like this. Some of it is brand new. So there you have it. It is quite the course. The benefit or end goal, as I've already stated, it's really to help you to improve how you feel, to how you move, and to actually, by doing this stuff in this way, it will likely help you towards your goals. Really depends on what your goals are, but working on different skills, strength, flexibility, all that can be fit in here, and it'll just improve everything to make it better and better. So if you have any questions at all on what's covered in here, or does it apply to you, be sure to let me know. You can email me at logan@legendarystrength.com. But other than that, I would say go and check out, there's more ideas on the website there where you can pick it up. It's feellikeabillion.com, feellikeabillion.com, and that's, of course, right now you can grab it. I'm doing it's only available in digital format as of this time. In the near future, I may have DVDs if you'd like to get those, but you can grab it for just $97. Later on, I'll probably be selling this for $297. I mean, if it makes you feel like $1 billion, then 300 bucks isn't a big price to pay. Less than $100 right now. This will only be available for a short time. I really like the headline I have there. Lack of energy is not normal. If you experience any level of that at any time in the day, understand that that can be improved. Chronic pain is not normal. For much of my recent life, I'd say most of my life in general, I don't have any pain at all. When I get pain, I have pain so little that I forget what pain is actually like, and it makes me sad just to think about so many people are in chronic pain of some form or another all the time. That's not normal. That's not how the body should work. But you're going to have to work in order to get out of that. Being weak and inflexible is not normal. Get strong, get flexible. You should take care of the body. The body is the temple, right? Take care of it, and it will take care of you. But this takes a little work to do. This whole routine is designed on giving you the biggest bang for your buck in multiple different areas that all compound together while taking a minimum amount of time. And that's really the best thing that I can deliver to you, giving you the best results in the least amount of time, because everyone's busy. I know I'm busy. I have at times in my life, skipped my morning routine in order to just get back to working. But if you can get all these benefits in a little amount of time and realize that over time it's actually going to get even better, it's huge. So being weak and inflexible is not normal. Struggling to get out of bed is not normal. If you have a hard time getting out of bed, then your energy levels aren't where they should be. You should be ready to go. And if you can look forward to doing a routine like this, which is quite fun. It actually can be a lot of fun to do this, when you're looking forward to, what sort of movement am I going to try to do today? How's my body going to respond? Or if I can just get, one step toward this goal. Huge results that can be there. Once again, if you have any questions on this, Logan@legendarystrength.com. Ask away. I'll try to get back to you as soon as possible. Other than that, go check out the course at feellikeabillion.com. Thank you very much, and I will talk to you next week.